Hey, sorry about that. Thank you very much and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation on barriers to learning within the context of education. And what does this mean? These are the things that are a hindrance to children accessing education. So barriers to learning are conditions or things that stand in the way of a child being able to learn effectively, access education. And so I have put this illustration here to show some of these things that are very, very practical that we get to hear about or see all the time. But for the focus of this, I'll be talking about disabilities or handicaps as a barrier to learning. There are many other factors, of course, physical, mental, emotional, and cultural that are summed up, but all of them are broken down here. All of them are broken down here. So these are like the umbrella. So I'll be focusing more on their disabilities or the things that are likely to happen to children with mental issues. So that is the focus of it, and that focus will be on ADHD. So I've chosen ADHD. So let us briefly talk about what ADHD is as a barrier to learning. First of all, what does ADHD stand for? It stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, and it is a condition that affects the execution or function of the brain, such as the ability to focus, to pay attention, or to even engage in tasks or have the ability to remember things. So it affects memory as well. So children with ADHD have difficulty paying attention, they have difficulty following instructions, they have difficulty with memorizing, they have difficulty with completing tasks, they are overly active, at times very withdrawn, at times they are resistant to partaking in anything or any activity within the classroom. So their behavior varies on a daily basis. So as a teacher dealing with children with ADHD, you have to have this awareness about their different behavioral patterns. And they can also be very, very disruptive as well. And sometimes it can cause difficulty in the classroom for the other students to pay attention, especially when all the others do not have this condition, because at times you deal a lot with mixed classrooms with students of different levels, learning difficulties, and times have some students that have got this condition. So it does cause some level of difference in the classroom. And we'll later talk about how to sort of deal with that when you're a teacher. So what are the symptoms of ADHD? The symptoms are academic and occupational difficulties. So academic being that from when they are in school, they are not able to fully function and do as expected or follow instructions. And that also carries on to their adult life and their working life, and it does translate to that. So everywhere that they go, there has to be some level of awareness about this their mental issues. And we also have social and emotional problems. They also have social and emotional problems in the sense that they can be quite withdrawn and also have emotional outbursts. And of course, we're going to talk more in detail about it on the next slides. And also physical and health risks. So sometimes they can also self-harm or neglect physical activity also. So let's just get into detail with regards to academic and occupational difficulties. People or children with ADHD struggle with learning, organizing, and completing tasks. And they also struggle with following instructions, as I said earlier. And this also lowers their ability to acquire education or to grasp content, and thus affecting their future or the kind of work that they get to do later on in life. Social and emotional problems. People or children with ADHD have difficulty getting along with others. So a lot of times you see them very withdrawn. They spend a lot of time in isolation, and just being amongst a lot of people sometimes triggers them. So they are often enough are in isolation. And at times, because they recognize there might be something wrong with them, they might have so low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and experience anxiety and depression, as well as other issues. Especially when they're in an environment that does not cater to them, or an environment that does not fully understand them and is accepting of them, they really do experience deep emotional issues when they are rejected. Physical health risks here, sometimes they can self-harm, or they can also get into a lot of accidents and injure themselves because they're very impulsive and can be hyperactive. And also, they are very irregular in their patterns in terms of eating and exercising regularly. So sometimes they might abandon their exercising and healthy, even sleeping, and that negligence might result in them having difficulty with diabetes and also just being obese. And with that said, there is hope for children that have got ADHD. If they're in the right environment and they are accepted and teachers are able to formulate lessons that are accommodating of them, then the classroom can be manageable and lessons can be delivered with them in mind. So these are the tactics that the teacher can have for them to be able to manage the classroom with children that have ADHD. Differentiated teaching can benefit learners with ADHD because then you have to identify their strengths, their interests, and their challenges. So once you've established the gravity of the situation with regards to their ADHD, then you as a teacher develop lesson plans or create lessons that are cognizant of their conditions and the fact that other students do not have the conditions, so that they are able to be a part of the classroom environment without fully neglecting the others as well. So you have to find a balance. And that's how you'll be able to find a balance and also manage the children. The teacher has to limit distractions. So that means you have to manage their environment, ensure that you sit the students away from things that might draw their attention or things that might alert them or alarm them or make them uncomfortable, like noise, a lot of clutter, or things that might attract their eyes and have them pay attention to those things than what you'd like for them to pay attention to. And also, constantly giving them feedback helps them a lot. And when they are given feedback, it's essential that they are rewarded as well. So the teacher has to have a rewarding system that will keep them motivated, that will keep them wanting to partake because they see that, okay, they are recognized. So feedback that does help a lot in managing their behavior. So rewarding good behavior in that sense helps a lot with regards to students that have got ADHD. And also giving them a break. Students with ADHD don't need to be pushed too hard. When you push them too hard, sometimes they really don't take that well. So the teacher has to be very, very patient and take it easy with them and allow them to take breaks if needed, just so long as they are able to get back into what they need to get into. So the teacher has to find a balance and not really push them a lot, like other students that perhaps do not have this condition able to cope in a positive competitive environment within the classroom. And of course, communicate clearly and consistently. Consistency has to be very, very important. Consistency is important, especially when dealing with students that have got ADHD. So clear communication for them to understand what's expected, for them to understand the rules, instructions, and directions of either the task or the classroom or whatever that is expected of them. So that is very, very important. It is essential that communication is very, very clear and consistent. And these are some of the strategies that really help and ensure that students with ADHD are also able to enjoy the classroom and, of course, school. ADHD can be a barrier to learning, but it can also be overcome with the right support and interventions. Children with ADHD have many strengths and talents that can help them achieve their goals. Thank you for watching. Take care.